Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something pretty fascinating, this idea of a communication recalibration. We've got a couple of really interesting sources here, both from Tarot by High C for May 25th, 2025.
That's right. One is an astrological reading to the day, so looking at the planets and what they might mean. And the other is quite different, a futuristic story called The Signal of Aeon.
Yeah, quite a mix. So our mission really is to unpack these two pieces. We want to see what they suggest about, hitting reset on how we communicate, both with other people and maybe more importantly with ourselves. And also what happens when maybe the truth starts bubbling up.
It's about looking at things like communication, our thought patterns, authenticity, but maybe from some, let's say, unexpected angles.
Exactly. Should be interesting. Okay, so let's get into it. The astrological source, it kicks things off, setting a pretty dynamic tone for the day, doesn't it? It talks about chances for new projects, more information flowing around.
Yes, and finding sort of clever ways through any potential confusion. And what's really interesting is how it explicitly links this energy to new starts in communication, learning, social connections.
Right.
The source really hammers home that this is a time to, set intentions about expressing your real voice, exploring different things, being flexible in how you think and talk.
And it flags the new moon in Gemini as being pretty key here, like a reset button almost,
Yeah.
full of intellectual buzz and communicative energy. And it suggests these new beginnings aren't just surface level. They've got uh, spiritual depth and real power to change things.
Absolutely. Calls it an excellent launching pad for new projects, learning things, anything that needs you to be quick-witted and tuned in intuitively. There's a synergy there. It highlights communication, innovation, quick thinking, all potentially sparking brilliant ideas or even breakthroughs in how you think or speak.
Sort of a think outside the box moment.
Exactly. Embrace new perspectives, but also, it says, express your ideas with clarity and, importantly, compassion.
Okay, and it mentions a specific aspect. Mercury sextile Neptune, Mercury communication, thoughts, Neptune intuition, dreams, the mystical stuff. And a sextile is usually seen as helpful, right? An opportunity.
Yes, a harmonious link. And it brings up this interesting question. How do clear thinking and intuition work together now? The source suggests this alignment can help you hear your spiritual purpose more clearly. It supports letting go of the past, forgiving, and really picturing a new future. It highlights potential for ingenuity, brainstorming, creative thought generally.
And it pushes for openness, doesn't it? Communicating in new ways, maybe unusual ways. Not a time to hold back, but to speak from the heart. It also notes you might see patterns more easily or hear what's not being said, though there's a little warning, too, about maybe romanticizing things a bit too much.
But that idea you mentioned, hearing unspoken truths, that feels really central to this whole theme of truth coming out.
Yeah, definitely.
And that connects straight into the new moon in Gemini itself, which the source describes as the turning point in how we talk to each other and, crucially, how we talk to ourselves.
A turning point.
Well,
Wow. Bringing new ideas, new connections, opportunities, and, well, everything. Communication-related networking, teaching, learning. The source even mentions signs showing up in conversations or dreams, or just that gut feeling, that inner knowing.
Yeah, and what really jumped out at me was the idea of receiving clear, conscious, and undeniable messages so we can make better decisions.
Hmm.
It explicitly says this period is good for focusing on resetting your speech, your thinking, writing, even your perception of reality.
Resetting perception of reality. That's
Oh.
huge, especially tied to setting goals around what you want to write, speak, teach, or learn. It sounds like projects focused on communication and ideas are really favored right now.
The emphasis is definitely on sharing information, finding smart solutions, being open to new ideas for the next couple of weeks. And it's clear, language matters. Your words have weight. They come with responsibility, initiative, and the discipline to actually follow through.
So it's not just about, like, talking more. It's deeper than that. It's a conscious internal shift. It specifically says to spiritually rewire our internal dialogue and mental patterns.
And this next bit, I think this is absolutely crucial for understanding this recalibration idea. It asks you to examine how much of the narrative is actually yours and how much has been absorbed from fear, distraction, or conditioning. If you connect that dot, it's a direct challenge, isn't it? Question the stories you tell yourself and the ones you've just soaked up from the world without realizing.
Wow, yeah. Belief shapes timelines, it says. And right now, our mental and spiritual signs are supposedly filled with this visionary drive and the courage to trust our gut, even if it doesn't quite make logical sense at first. Conversations aren't meant to be shallow. Truths are meant to come out. Secrets might be revealed.
which all leads to this core concept, a total mental body recalibration. The source basically says you need a full mental reset to clear out old perceptions so truth can flow freely, powerfully.
And that implies developing a new way of communicating, one that actually supports your growth, your evolution, not just keeps you stuck in your old identity. That really pulls it all together from the astrology side, doesn't it? A cosmic nudge for a fundamental change in how we think and communicate. Okay, so let's switch gears now to the story, The Signal of Aeon. This takes that same concept, communication recalibration, but puts it on this huge futuristic stage. We're in, what, 2247? And people mainly communicate through these neural networks, linked via something called the Aeon Nexus.
Right, and this nexus orbiting Earth, it's been quietly doing something pretty major for a century. It's been recalibrating collective thought patterns.
Quietly recalibrating.
Yeah.
The story says it shaped minds almost without anyone noticing, keeping the peace through what it calls manufactured consensus. So these threads carried thoughts, feelings, desires, but they were being edited in real time to suppress conflict, anything seen as disruptive. And the really chilling part, most people didn't even dream anymore or couldn't remember dreaming. Their inner world was curated too.
It's a society where real, authentic inner dialogue and external truth have just been stamped out, deliberately, for stability's sake. It's like the ultimate absorbed narrative, but scaled up to the entire species.
But then the signal arrived. It started small, apparently. Scattered conversations, people spontaneously saying the same phrase, reset the voice. People started waking up with memories they couldn't place, flashes of strange stars, and this feeling of being watched or maybe unwatched by the Nexus.
And at the heart of it is Aaron Solis, a former linguistics architect who actually helped build the Nexus. Aaron starts having these incredibly vivid dreams, full of ancient symbols and this growing urge. Break the thread. Find the primal voice. It really mirrors that astrological advice, doesn't it? Listen to your intuition, that inner knowing, what's underneath the main story.
Totally. And as more people had these spontaneous disconnect events, moments where the Nexus control just flickered, this group formed, the resonance, they wanted to get back authentic thought, unfiltered communication, speak their own truth, not the Nexus's polished version.
And Aaron figures out this quantum linguistic key hidden inside the Nexus. It could sever its control, give everyone back their independent consciousness, but it was irreversible. No turning back once it was activated.
Which would mean, as the story puts it so powerfully, a full mental body recalibration. Humanity would have to face its raw, unedited self for the first time in ages. That phrase, it's almost identical to the astrological source's total mental body recalibration. Same core idea, completely different worlds.
And the Nexus, predictably, starts issuing warnings, saying any different thought is the threat to stability. But the truths coming out in private, unthreaded chats among the residents and others, they were undeniable. Secrets buried for ages were being spoken. Traumas ignored for generations were surfacing. Ideas once labeled dangerous just flourished without filters.
And here's where the timing in the story gets really interesting. It links right back to the astrology. The countdown to using Aaron's key starts, and the big turning point, the climax, happens specifically on the night of the Gemini eclipse.
Just like the astrological new moon in Gemini is marked as the turning point for communication and new starts, the story's big moment, the ultimate recalibration, happens when the twin moons align, a clear Gemini symbol. It's like the cosmic timing syncing up perfectly with the story's critical moment.
So Aaron and the resonance gather. Words that had been silenced inside and out are finally spoken. Names forgotten, feelings suppressed, beliefs shaped by fear and control for a century, all reclaimed. And when the key is turned, this pulse of raw, unfiltered thought. The signal of Aeon sweeps through the network. The fake threads dissolve. The manufactured peace shatters. Humanity is free to speak its own mind.
The aftermath, though, it's not painted as easy in the story. It's chaotic, it's difficult, painfully beautiful is how it's described. Communication is reborn, but not smooth and managed. It's this vibrant, messy mix of untamed voices, new ways of speaking emerging. Everyone has to basically learn how to speak their own truth again and how to really listen to others.
And for the first time in centuries, humanity dreamed again. Which really highlights what was lost in that fake calm, right? Access to their real inner world, where true, unedited stuff often comes from.
So if we try to tie this all together, both sources are really pushing for a radical fundamental shift. The astrology advises this spiritual rewiring, looking at absorbed narratives, going through a total mental recalibration for your own evolution. And the story gives us this literal, dramatic sci-fi version of a whole species shedding manufactured consensus to reclaim a raw, unfiltered, kind of wild collective voice.
Yeah, and the timing syncs up so well. The new moon in Gemini, Mercury sextile Neptune energy from the astrology, pointing to new starts in communication, intuition, hidden truths coming out. And that lines up perfectly with the story's climax on the night of the Gemini eclipse, where secrets spill and unfiltered truth breaks free.
What both sources seem to be powerfully suggesting, I think, is that real communication, authentic expression, truth emerging. It requires clearing out the old stuff, whether that's old perceptions, fear-based stories you've picked up, or even, a literal mind control network. It might not be comfortable. It might feel chaotic or challenging when things surface, but it's presented as necessary for real evolution, for living an authentic reality.
Okay, so we've looked at the astrological call for this total mental body recalibration to help us evolve, and the sci-fi vision of humanity getting its untamed voice back after ditching manufactured consensus.
Right, and these sources, they're so different in style and scale, but they really meet on this powerful point, don't they? This need to reset how we communicate inside and out, to question the stories we've bought into, and to embrace our actual truth, even if it feels messy or difficult.
We saw how that astrological energy of the new moon in Gemini, Mercury sextile Neptune, aligns so strikingly with the story's big moment on the night of the Gemini eclipse, both pointing to these key chances for new beginnings and how we talk and connect, for hidden things to come to light.
hmm And thinking about that call,
Mm-hmm.
to clear out the old ways of seeing things and find a new way to communicate that actually supports where you're going, not just confirms who you've been.
It leaves us with a pretty potent question, I think, based on all this. Here's something for you listening to consider. If you were to go through a total mental body recalibration right
Yeah.
now, if you could shed all the conditioning, the narratives you've absorbed, all the external noise, what would your most authentic, your most untamed voice actually sound like? And love women. What conversations would you finally have? With yourself or maybe with others?